Mrs. Olosaye, you're welcome. Thank you so much of exams and record. And of course, Mrs. Oro is here. Madam, you're welcome. We want a special recognition for our pupils from University of Benin Demonstration Secondary School. Please put your hands together for yourselves, please. Please, let's take our seats, please. Thank you so much. The Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, Member of Governing Council, University of Benin, Professor Victor Mozua, you're welcome. Can we please rise as we welcome the Chancellor of our great university. Please, let's quickly take our seats, please. Let's quickly take our seats, please. Thank you. Ushers, please, direct. please quickly take their seats, please. Thank you. Take our seats as we welcome you, especially distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to the great first university in Nigeria, the University of Benin. Today we have the 42nd convocation lecture of our great university. We want to welcome all of you, especially to Benin City, University of Benin. Please, ushers, guys, quickly direct them to their seats so that we can begin this convocation lecture. The 42nd convocation ceremony of our great university. It will interest you to know that on the 23rd of November, that was precisely on Wednesday, the University of Benin was exactly 46 years old. And we had a Founders Day lecture in this great hall. Founders Day lecture was delivered by foundation year students of our great university, Engineer Dr. Chris Ogewonyi. Yesterday, we had the award of presentation of certificates, award of degrees to students of all the faculties in the university, Faculty of Agriculture, Faculty of Arts, Engineering, Education. Please quickly direct, let's quickly take our seats so that we can commence. We want to also distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we please be upstanding as we take the national anthem and thereafter the unitary anthem. Benin anthem. Uniben is the greatest. Greatest Uniben. Greatest Uniben. Thank you very much. Please take your seats. Thank you. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome you especially to the University of Benin. Today, we'll have the 42nd Convocation lecture as part of the activities to mark our 42nd Convocation to Founders Day ceremony. A ceremony that started 3 days ago with an interdenominational service, and thereafter, following day, we had, of course, immediately we had a Founders Day lecture that was delivered by Engineer Dr. Chris Ogihonyi. Yesterday we had the presentation of degrees, or award of degrees, diplomas to graduates in all the faculties of our university. Today is a convocation lecture which will be delivered by a very distinguished alumnus of our great university. But permit me at this point to specially recognize the Chancellor of the University of Benin, His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, CON, Seriki Kano. Let's put our hands together for him, please. Chancellor, you're welcome, sir. Also want to specially recognize the Pro-Chancellor, Chairman, Governing Council of the University of Benin, Senator Effiong Dixon Bob. Our distinguished lecturer today is here. You're welcome, the Honorable Minister, His Excellency Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, Honorable Minister for Power, Works and Housing. A proper and a very fitting introduction will be done later. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, Professor Friday Osase Orumense, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers. You're welcome, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a warm hand of applause for Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Lawrence Ezemoyin. Please, we extend the same warm applause to Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Abiodun Balogun. Of course, she will also enjoy the warm hand of applause the Registrar and Secretary to Council, Mrs. Otasuwe Oshodi. The University Librarian, Dr. Mrs. Idiodi. We have members of council here present, but permit me to quickly recognize the founder of our university, the first visitor to the University of Benin. He is General Dr. Samuel Osaibogo Ogbemudia, here represented by his son, Samuel Ogbemudia Jr. We also have here in our midst the Chief Judge of Edo State, Honorable Justice C.O. Idahosa, here represented by Honorable Justice E.F. Ikponre. Members of Council of the University of Benin, they are here. I want to recognize Barrister Mrs. Jamila Ahmed Saleh. Madam, you're welcome. Also, Mrs. Eliasu Rakia. Madam, you're welcome. The Dean of School of Postgraduate Studies, also a member of the Governing Council of the University of Benin, Professor Victor Omozuwa. Welcome, sir. Also recognize Director of Directorate of Alumni Relations, Mr. Egwasa Omago. In the same vein, I recognize Professor Joseph Osemenka, is also a member of the Governing Council, University of Benin. Welcome. And of course, as the Honorable Secretary General of University of Benin Alumni Association, I have to recognize the President worldwide, is also a member of the Governing Council of our great university, Honorable Commissioner, Federal Character Commission. Please let's warmly welcome Honorable Sir Ifaluyi Isibo. Greatest. Thank you, President worldwide. Let's put our hands together for him, please. From the Kano Emirates, I warmly welcome Aminu Ado Bayero, the Wamba of Kano. We also have Sarkin Fulani. Okay, I will get this one correctly. Just give me a few minutes, please. Shehu Mohammed, the Magajin Rafio of Kano, is here. Let's put our hands together for him. I've been reliably informed that I have the immunity of the Chancellor if I do not get the pronunciation correctly. Sarkin Fulani Jandada Abubakar Buhari is here. Let's put our hands together for him, please. His Royal Majesty Alhaji Aliyu K. Danesi, the Oba Danesi II, the ideology of South Ibia Kingdom, South Monarchic Forum is here. Let's put our hands together also for him. Thank you so much for coming. Very quickly, we also have some visiting Vice Chancellors here. We have Professor Sani A. Mashi, Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, University of Abuja. We have, representing the Vice Chancellor of Edwin Clark University, Professor M.K.C. Owajen. Representing the Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Technology, Mina, Professor A.O. Osunde. Mrs. Hope Odwaran, Registrar Delta State College of Physical Education. Mosoga is also here. Madam, you're welcome. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the National President, Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, Reverend Dr. Felix Omobode, is here, represented by Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Orwe. Deans, directors, members of Senate, our friends from town, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome. It is now my singular honor and pleasure to welcome Vice Chancellor, Professor Faraday F.O. Orurensi, to please give his welcome address. Mr. Vice Chancellor.
I stand on the existing protocol. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to this epoch-making 42nd Convocation lecture at the University of Benin. In a very special way, may I welcome our guest lecturer for today, a distinguished alumnus of the University of Benin, His Excellency, Mr. Babatunde Raji, Fashola, SAN. Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing, to the warm embrace of his alma mater, the University of Benin. This is the first time an alumnus of the University of Benin will be delivering the University Convocation lecture. His Excellency Babatunde Raji Fashola SAN, immediate past governor of Lagos State and current Minister of Power, Works and Housing, is a perfect example of an accomplished and worthy alumnus of the University of Benin, who is flying very high the flag of the University of Benin. His track record of achievement as governor of Lagos State has become a reference point in quality leadership and excellent service delivery. A goldfish, they say, has no hiding place. On our part as members of the University of Benin Committee, we are not only extremely proud of this great ambassador of the University of Benin, but earnestly wish him to succeed in his current endeavor. Today, we are eagerly waiting to drink from his fountain of knowledge and experience in his lecture title, Freedom from Fear, Shows Before the New Generation. The University of Benin is wholly committed to actively raising the quality of life for every student in the University of Benin. We want the students, regardless of tribe, religion, or circumstances, to achieve their full potential. Our mission to develop the human mind to be creative, innovative, and competent in area of specialization, knowledgeable in entrepreneurship, and dedicated to service still remains our main priority. On this note, I formally welcome you all to the 42nd Convocation lecture of the University of Benin. Thank you and God bless you.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, thank you so much. Can we put our hands together for Mr. Vice Chancellor, please? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, respectfully we invite our guest lecturer today, His Excellency Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, Honorable Minister for Power, Works and Housing. So please come, take your seat. He's about to, hold on. What he's about to put on right now, I'm sure he last put it on over 40 years ago or 30 years ago. To give a lecture in University of Benin, he has to put on the robe. So while he's doing that, Ojada for FA, Obrigado, Uniben, quickly.
Obrigado, Uniben. Obrigado. Thanks, greatest Uniben. Thanks, the University of Benin. We are the darkest of academic nights, lights, center of transformation. We are the deepest of character valleys, heights. Greatest Unibank. We are the grandest of excellent virtues, takes flight. The center of revivification. We are the tiniest of future stars, glows bright. Unibank. My Uniben. Uniben of proud scholars in academic arenas. Uniben of whom my ignorant mind answers, no, I have never seen the light. But your lofty height inspired insight to great might at daylight for all night with stars, spangled skies, bright. And in this might, come I, Ochatono, Efe Nicholas, your own lovely son, to bring you words of obrigado. Obrigado, Uniben. Obrigado. Land of unfeigned beauty, clad with academic splendor, home of the future, a tale's mine for the troubadour. An ancient landmark, tall standing fortress with rich greatness engraved in their breasts. Your impact so there, envied by all who lacked a space in your cozy heart with parting faces masked. Obrigado for your warmest embrace, ab initio. Obrigado, greatest Uniben, and to the Lord Almighty be obrigado, obrigado, and obrigado. Your kingly arms, so gracious to me. Your queenly footnotes, so charming to see. Your knowledge like diamond, my ignorance to free. Your wisdom and valor, strength for all we. Oh Uniben, for thee and thee alone, I will do my very best. Daily in glee, I'll strive to make thee golden fest. Uniben, obrigado, thank you.
Thank you very much. Obrigado, okay, his name is Efe. Thank you, not obrigado. Put your hands together one more time for him, please. Thank you so much. Freedom from fear, choices before the new generation is the topic of the 42nd Convocation lecture of our great university. And to introduce, to give a brief citation of the guest lecturer, please warmly welcome the University of Benin orator, Professor Raji.
Thank you, sir. Chancellor, sir, our most honored and distinguished guests this morning, it is once again my singular honor and privilege to present to you one of Nigeria's greatest personalities, a man that has acquitted himself superlatively in his breathtaking public service within a short period of time. A man of great vision, audacity, sagacity, and dexterity in achieving set projects. A man with a dogged and indomitable spirit that works tenaciously to accomplish set targets. A legal luminary that within a short space of time had become an outstanding and intimidating figure in the legal profession, a senior advocate of Nigeria. A man whose entry into the political firmament, first of Lagos State and later Nigeria, brought in one of the finest among the politicians of modern-day Nigeria. Our former Chief of Staff to the former Governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our former two-time Governor of Lagos State, an epitome of the ideals of good governance, the man that lifted Lagos State to an enviable status among the committee of states in Nigeria. The man on whose young shoulders rest the triple portfolios of power, works, and housing in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The man who, because of his sleepless nights to humanity, first as governor and now as minister, has, like President Obama of the United States and a day standing before you, grown gray hair faster than his time. The consummate epitome of religious tolerance in Nigeria, who, although a Muslim, is happily married to a devout Christian that is a lady of the church. And the most worthy alumnus of the greatest University of Benin, His Excellency, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola. Chancellor, sir, our distinguished guest lecturer of today was born on the 28th of June, 1963 in Lagos. He comes to the position of minister as an astute administrator, a man that has a knack and a vision for excellence and compliance with set down regulations. He was elected the 13th governor of the state, Lagos State, on the 29th of May 2007 and was overwhelmingly re-elected for a second term on the 26th of April 2011. His second term tenure came to a glorious end on May 29, 2015 with the swearing of Mr. Akin, his successor from the same political party. As already indicated by dear Vice Chancellor, our golden fish that has no hiding place, the Federal Republic of Nigeria immediately recruited him to higher grounds to serve as minister in a triple capacity. It is interesting to note that our guest lecturer of today is a worthy alumnus of the University of Benin who graduated from the Faculty of Law in the year 1987. He was called to the Nigerian bar in November 1988. He cut his teeth as a barrister in the law firm of Sofunde, Osakwe, Ogundikwe, and Begori as a litigator specializing in chieftaincy matters, land disputes, intellectual property, commercial, and criminal law. In August 2004, he was conferred with the rank of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Nigeria's highest legal distinction. He is the first member of the 1988 law school set to take the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And the second University of Benin Faculty of Law graduate to be so honored. Throughout his tenure as Governor of Lagos State from 2007 to 2015, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola San demonstrated a commitment to excellence in public service and an uncommon dedication to his avowed pledge to lead the change that will transform Lagos into Africa's model megacity. As a governor, he was audacious, he was resourceful, he was innovative, he was sagacious, and brought to bear the best practices in the governance of the state. Both nationally and internationally, he was acclaimed as one of the bright hopes for the future of Nigeria, and one of the very progressive governors determined to reclaim Nigeria's past glories through competent and transparent leadership. His dogged pursuit of renewal of the infrastructure of Lagos as the practical strategy for economic growth and poverty alleviation won the state honors from as far away as Australia, where he was lauded for undertaking the fastest infrastructural renewal ever in Africa. Indeed, his unflagging spirit led the government to explode many negative myths about Lagos. Lagos became a mecca of some sort for seeking for knowledge, for innovative and 21st century models of good governance. Mr. Babatunde Fashola's son is the recipient of the prestigious Stephen J. Solaris Award of the International Crisis Group for 2015 for his commitment to building a peaceful and vibrant society. His work to improve social and economic conditions in Lagos, including his role in preventing the Ebola outbreak from becoming a crisis in Nigeria. He was listed in 2014 as one of the 100 top global thinkers for 2013 by a global personality assessment organization, Los Spazio della Politica LSDP, based in Italy and Brussels. Time magazine has commended him for, and I quote, the overhaul of Lagos infrastructure, while the Economist magazine acknowledged him as, and I quote, a rare good man and as a governor who does his job well. He also won the International Association of Public Transport 2011 Award for commitment towards the global promotion of public transportation, among numerous others. In Nigeria, Babatunde Fashola's son is a recipient of the Popular Man of the Year Award of the Guardian newspaper 2009, the Vanguard 2009, the Sun 2009, the Champion 2010, and the City People 2012. He also received the Corporate Governance Award 2012 from the Governing Council of the Institute of Directors and was equally presented the Most Labour-Friendly Governors Awards 2012 by the Lagos Zonal Council of the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPEN. At the year 2014 Newswatch Awards, organized by the Newswatch Communications Limited, publishers of Newswatch magazine and Daily Newswatch, Mr. Fashola won 3 awards: Governor of the Year in Internal Revenue Generation, Governor of the Year in Internal Security, and Governor of the Year in the Health Sector. During his tenure in Lagos, he served in various ad hoc committees of the federal government in different capacities. He was a member of the Presidential Committee of the Review of Tariffs, charged with the responsibilities of reviewing the current tariff structure and fiscal incentives in Nigeria, identifying barriers to investments, and recommending strategic incentives that will promote foreign direct investment and ultimately stimulate economic growth. He was the chairman of the Governors Forum Committee that was set up to formulate the rules and regulations guiding succession to leadership of the forum, although they did not succeed since the issue of figures is still challenging that body. To review the revenue allocation formula for Nigeria and make appropriate recommendations by which the state governments will engage critical stakeholders that are critical to find out an equitable revenue formula for the country. Mr. Fashola, son, is patron, Institute of Arbitrators, CIA, member Nigerian Bar Association, MBA, member International Bar Association, IBA, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, notary public of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, and also patron to the law students of the greatest university of Benin. He is a recipient of several awards and certificates of merit, a legal practitioner, administrator, management consultant, team player, and a destabilized Nigeria. Mr. Chancellor, sir, it is this most worthy Nigeria that has given hope to our youth, that became a governor at the age of 44, that is still having much to give to our Nigeria, that has helped to lift the tenets and standards of governance, that I now have the rare privilege of inviting to deliver this year's 42nd Convocation lecture of the greatest University of Benin on the topic, Freedom from Fear, Choices Before the New Generation. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Your Highness, the Chancellor, the Pro-Chancellor, the Vice-Chancellor, members of the Academic and Governing Council, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, the students of the great University of Benin. Great Uniben. You know, this greeting started before my time here, but it has endured. Many years, well, not too far back now, I used to sit here, listen to speeches given here, and we did some great things in this hall too. I don't know if you still have concerts now. We had concerts and we really partied here in this hall as well. So, and my first unsuccessful venture as a businessman also happened in this hall. We used to show films. So I was trying to raise money to show a film. It turned out to be a very unsuccessful venture, so I knew I was not cut out to be a great businessman. But I'm a great alumnus of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest university. You know that greeting has endured, and my prayer is that the greeting will also endure for all of you who graduate in this university. And that you will fulfill your destiny of greatness as products of a great institution and a great citadel of learning. Because the question whether the University of Benin is great is now beyond argument. It is great. And when you look at the quality of men and women who have had the fortune to continue to midwife our affairs, the man Emir of Kano, a very great thinker in his own right, the Pro-Chancellor, a distinguished senator, the Vice-Chancellor, an engineer, the founder himself, a man of great vision whose ideas continue to endure, and of course, the sheer evidence that abounds in the human quality and the human capital that the University of Benin has supplied Nigeria in fulfillment of the dreams and objectives of our founding fathers clearly tell you that this is a great institution. It is a rich store of personnel, not only in quantity, but also in very defining quality. In all spheres of Nigeria's developmental endeavor, there is a representative of Great Uniben, not only in a participatory role, but also in a leadership role that is setting worthy and commendable examples. The boys and girls of yesterday have become the men and women who define the developmental character of our nation. And they are now waiting for all of you, the students here, to come and join them and play your own role. Therefore, I intend to start my interaction with you by telling you a story. Many years ago, sometime in 1983, in a philosophy classroom, a lecturer was teaching his students about the theory of evolution. You know, there are many theories. He was teaching them the theory of the Big Bang, that life started by a Big Bang, the theory of the atom and matter, and that perspective of our evolution was the more sound and logical one. He charged them not to believe things that were not demonstrable by evidence. He taught them about cause and effect relationships of man's existence, and that everything was ultimately traceable to matter, something that you must see. Otherwise, that thing didn't exist. The students, it appeared, seemed to enjoy this explanation of life. It made sense to them and how they existed. The problem was that that teaching also had problems with their understanding of faith, their understanding of religion, and their understanding of God. Because if the teacher is saying, if that thing is not provable, it doesn't exist, they couldn't see God, but they had been raised to believe there was God. So, this was the problem that the students were dealing with as Christians and Muslims, that there is God, but they could not see Him. So how are they going to resolve this matter of matter? The matter that the teacher was now saying, if it's not, and the scientists will understand what I'm saying here, that science on one hand, God on the other hand. Because the lecturer himself professed no faith. And so the students thought that he did not even believe in God. Until one fateful morning, when one of the students cited this lecturer walking out of church after a Sunday morning service. So the student was bewildered, he was confused, he truly felt misled or deceived by the teacher. That how dare you come and teach us things that you didn't believe? So, what did the student do? He walked up to the teacher that he must challenge this teacher. How dare you? No, and after all of the courtesies, good morning, sir, and good morning, young man, how are you? So the student said, sir, what are you doing here? You came to church? Yes, answered the teacher, I worship here every Sunday. You believe in God, said the student. Yes, I do. Then why have you been deceiving us? And the teacher asked, how have I been deceiving you? You taught us to believe that God does not exist since we cannot prove it. The student said, no, I did not. I believe in God. The teacher replied, my faith is different from my job. Your training here in your school is that your school is training you to become lawyers. They have employed me to develop your minds, to question and to challenge things, to seek knowledge and never to be easily satisfied, to think and to challenge the existing order, to achieve change and never to settle for the path that is well traveled, to dare and to dream, to seek new ways of doing the same thing. Because as lawyers, people's fates and lives will be defined by the choices that you make. Whether a man will die or will not die will depend on the choices that you make. Their lives will depend on your abilities, and so will their businesses, or even their marriages. That is my job, said the teacher. Whether you believe in God or not is not my business. That is your personal choice. Ladies and gentlemen, that is as best as I can recall this event and as I can paraphrase it. But the school where this event happened is where we gather today, the great University of Benin. The faculty that offered the course in philosophy is the Faculty of Law. The lecturer, I recall, was either Greek or Cypriot, and I think the school records will bear that out. His name was Theodoropoulos, and I was the student in question. You know, I had come out of the sports complex to play tennis, and he was walking out of the All Saints Church, and I said, no, this can't be real. But that encounter shaped my life in many ways. And even if I say so, I am better for it. And if I had to choose a university again, it would be the University of Benin. I thought that I should share that with you, especially the students. I feel that if I successfully connect with one of you, the effort would have been very worthwhile. And that is why I have taken the liberty that the school granted me to choose my topic, to choose to you to speak about freedom from fear, about the choices before you. I hope that I will challenge you to take control of what happens to you and what happens around you. I say this because there seems to be an increasing manifestation of our own collective surrender, of our individual choices and free will to divine intervention, to superstition, and to the possibility of endless miracles. We are now in the realm and reality of constant expectations that a miracle will happen, that God will intervene divinely. And it seems that superstitions have taken over reason and they have taken over logic. When we pass examinations, when we win football matches, when we conduct successful elections, or when indeed we achieve any feat, we seem all too now frightened and unsure of ourselves to take credit for even the most modest of our own successes. Successes that are attributable to our own efforts and our own industry. The first thing you hear when we celebrate success is it is God. For the avoidance of doubt, I believe in God. And only He can question my faith. But I also believe that God gave us a lot of free will. Regrettably, we have surrendered our capacities and our abilities in a very frightful way to fear. We have become victims of some confidence tricksters who deceive, disentitle, and prey on our fears and our frailties in God's name. Every man and woman of some substance in our society today now either has a pastor, an imam, a spiritualist, or even a dibia who is responsible for telling him or her what to do, when to do it, in what way. And this happens in a way that I submit diminishes the ability and surrenders the talent of this person and his free will to divine intervention and spiritual consultation. In our country today, many people are disappearing in very questionable circumstances. People are missing. And I argue that some of them are probably being murdered in a crazy quest for human parts by some people who still believe that you can make money with human parts and through human sacrifice. Nothing can be further from the truth. Human parts are tissues and bones, muscles. They have no place in the materials that are used to manufacture money. You know, there is nothing divine in money making. Nothing at all. It is entrepreneurship, it is production, and it is hard work. The teaching of science as espoused by Theodoropoulos tells me that money is a product of man. It is not a product of God. It is manufactured in a place called the Mint, and I'm sure His Highness, as former governor of Central Bank, will confirm this. It is a process that involves printing, using a special paper, special ink, engravement and embossment for security, because there are also people whose lifelong occupation is counterfeiting. And they pass it from generation to generation. So they do this engravement to make it difficult to fake or counterfeit. So you can't make money from human parts. It's not possible. And those who say they can do it must come and prove it. Because that's what University of Benin taught me. Now, I'm just going to speak about real life incidents and things that I hope that you can connect with in professing and propounding my views. I think some of you here watch football. Yes? Okay. In all the nations that you see when they play football, who do you see praying in the center circle at halftime? Who? Which other nation does it? You know what halftime is for? Quickly catch your breath, reassess how you are playing, re-strategize and replan how you are going to defeat the opponent. Not so? It's 15 minutes maximum. In some cases 10. You know, we spend half of that time praying. The opponent is planning already in the dressing room, and the whole world has tried to fathom why we do it. Now, and you've heard stories about some things that used to happen in the past when our league was still very active, about how some people will go and bury a cow on the football field. I don't know what that has to do with football. There's a piece of leather with air in it, and only the most talented people will get it past the opponent. So, but you see, and when we do all of those things, we don't prepare. We saw at the last Olympics how we managed to get our players. So people who were going to meet were already there. They were training. We got there late, right? Then we start singing, "It's a miracle, working God." Yes, He's a God of miracles. But He's not an unjust God. He cannot give to those who worked hard and who did not work hard what those who worked hard deserve. So we must not surrender our faith. You are looking for miracles. No, there's no miracle in football. You either know how to play, you prepare, or you don't. So, and when you look back, in all the times when we have done well, we have prepared, we have worked hard. And this is the time, and this is the argument I make, that you must work hard. You must not surrender your choices to prayer, to miracle, to work. If you look in the Bible, it says there, work and pray. It didn't say pray and work. And it didn't say pray only. So you must work hard. And that is the first point I wish to emphasize on making choices. Now, sometimes, of course, working hard does not always bring the expected results. I accept that. What you expect, you may not get it. But it is better than not working hard. Because the likelihood is that if you work very hard, you might not get a first class, but you are unlikely to get a fail. You may get a 2-2, you may pass, maybe you just misunderstood the question. But you will be in a far better place than that fellow who did not do any work, who was looking for miracles. So, and we must be careful what we allow our minds to believe. I once listened to a sermon broadcast on TV when I was governor, and I had to call the producer of the state TV not to allow that kind of sermon to be broadcast again, because it was very, very dangerous in my own view. And my responsibility as governor was to ensure that people got the right information. What was this broadcast about? Somebody was asking his congregation, to those who are in debt should come forward, that he was going to pray for them, for their debt to disappear. I was really frightened, because it didn't make sense to me. Because debts are accounting matters. They are matters of credit and debit. They do not vanish. So, but my argument is that it is people who live in fear who fall prey to such teachings and become victims of misery from poor choices. I urge you to free your minds from such fears. There are many teachings about freedoms. There is freedom from want, freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of choice, including the choice of leadership by voting at elections, and many others. But the least expressed freedom is the freedom from fear. We have talked about it the least. But it is, in my view, the most important freedom. Because a free mind is a mind of many possibilities, a mind that is free from fear. Because a mind taken over by fear cannot express free will and will therefore not fully optimize or benefit from other freedoms. For example, we have seen that elections are conducted in other parts of the world on the basis of polls, on the basis of campaigns, analysis of human behavior, rather than any occultic or sacrificial offering. And if you have contested an election here before, you will know what happens, all sorts of things that people want to subject you to, if your mind is overtaken by fear. Candidates who win elections must persuade people to agree to their own message and promises, and to seek to change the minds of those who are unpersuaded by understanding what they want and taking steps to address them. Because those who may not be initial converts can change their minds. That is why when you are analyzing poll, you see undecided, they still don't know where to go. Those are the people you must be addressing. Find out what concerns them. And we have seen this example living with us in our own president. After 3 unsuccessful attempts, he became a president. The man who they said was unelectable won overwhelmingly. But it didn't happen by spiritual sacrifice. It didn't happen by dibia, because I was a part of that team. And I know what we did. And I will share some of it with you today. We conducted a poll across Nigeria. The sample size was 20,000 people. Those who conducted the poll said it was the largest sample size they had ever dealt with. We administered 60 questions to each person that we spoke to face by face. When the results of the poll came out, we had 1,200,000 answers and responses from Nigerians about what they wanted. The 3 top responses were security, corruption, and the economy. That was what was to form the core message of candidate Buhari's campaign, and that was what produced President Muhammadu Buhari. That is how to win elections. It may well be that on another day, the issue can be health, it can be housing, but those were the issues of the day by a scientific process. Of course, polls are not foolproof. We've seen polls, turn out to be not as they are predicted, but that is not because the numbers and the data is wrong. It is because polls need to be analyzed by data analysts, and they can be manipulated, they can be misrepresented, and they can be prejudiced in the analysis of the polls. And they can also be misunderstood. Many people have found it difficult, for example, to understand why a candidate that was leading in the US election suddenly lost. All the polls showed that that candidate was leading. But perhaps we were overcome by our desire to experience history, by our prejudices. We refused to see the other number. The other number was that she was the most distrusted candidate of the two. The public distrust for her was higher. Now, you ask yourself, will you vote for somebody you don't trust? And that is one way to reconcile the result of that election. So, now let me, again, as I said, I'll be telling you some stories and I'll try and get to it. A friend related to me how his mother had a bad dream concerning his well-being. Of course, the mother went to relate the dream to the imam. His response was that there had to be a sacrifice in order to prevent what was being seen in that dream. So as a friend was telling me this, I said, wait a minute. Does the sacrifice involve buying a ram? He said, yes. I said, how did I know? I said, well, Ileya is 3 weeks away. I have to kill ram. So your mother has walked into a trap, you better go and pay for the ram. Because if you see, what are dreams? You know, I'm not passing judgment on the imam, but there was just too much of a coincidence here. Islam does not say that you must kill ram by force. It says if you can afford it. But some people want to do something and they take advantage of people who are afraid. Now, because I had a dream, what's the connection between a dream and a ram? But these things happen every day. It may well be a cock, red cock, or even a rabbit. But I don't see how sacrifices are the solutions to dreams. Because there's a scientific explanation for dreams. Our minds, our eyes capture images every day, every minute we move. And dreams have been explained as scientific events that occur as a result of rapid eye movement when we are asleep, when our brains are still active. That's the scientific explanation. The scientists here will develop that better. So there is nothing between a ram and your dream. Your mind is just active. So let me reiterate again that I have no quarrel with faith. What I seek to advocate is the lack of fear and the resort to faith out of conviction. If you believe God, believe Him because you believe. Don't believe God out of fear. Don't go to Dibia out of fear. Believe because your mind tells you this is rational. I believe. Not out of fear, out of conviction. So if we pursue our choices with as much conviction as we pursue our faith, we will certainly be a more prosperous people. Let us continue to remember that the two dominant religions, and the other religions, Islam and Christianity, are not original to us. They were imported here. And when we want to hold meetings, we pray. When we want to play football, we pray. When we want to walk, we pray. But all the meetings that I have been privileged to attend, whether in the Middle East, they don't pray to start meeting. Those of you who have traveled to can confirm, where have you prayed to start meeting? I've attended meetings in Jerusalem conferences, no prayer, we just get to it. So, but the point I'm making is that that doesn't make them unfaithful people. But they have separated their faith from public life. It's a personal thing. Don't bring it to the office. Because meetings represent public undertakings. They are done and conducted with taxpayers' money. They are being paid to work. They are being paid to produce so that you can deliver prosperity. You are not paid to pray. So, those people, I believe that they too pray. But I believe that from the evidence before me, they work hard. Because if you are not at your job at the specified time, somebody else will take it. Maybe on Fridays and on Sundays, they go and pray. So, and that follows the injunction, work first and pray. So that if you believe, your work will be blessed with grace. Because it is grace really that multiplies the effort. But back home, as I said, we spend more time praying and then we complain that there is no prosperity. But if we spend, and then Friday and Saturday and Sunday, you know what else we do? We really party, heavy. So if we spend Monday to Friday mixing prayer with work, and we spend Saturday and Sunday socializing, then what is the result we want to see? Are we as productive as we potentially can be? Certainly we are not. And I give you examples. If you visit many construction sites where the Chinese are engaged working, they work on Sundays. We who have unemployment problem don't want to work on Sunday. If you travel around our country today, just look at the business places and compare the business places to the places of worship. On a 5-kilometer road that I drove through recently, we just counted. I counted a laundry, one laundry, on that 5-kilometer stretch. That's a place where people walk, wash clothes, iron clothes, bill for it. We counted 3 clinics. Remember this, one laundry, 3 clinics for healthcare, so it's a workplace. We counted 2 petrol filling stations, also very good, can employ people. 1 bank branch, another place of employment. 4 shopping outlets, which was good, another place of employment. 1 eatery, where you can eat your Mr. whatever and sensations. But we counted 10 places of worship. And they just define, and just do that sampling as you go around. Count how many places of worship to how many places of work. And so it will come back to us in the way that we see your nephew, my niece, my daughter has graduated 4 years, no work. Because we are spending our money somewhere else. We are building more places of worship than we are building more places of production. That's the evidence. You do the counting as you go out on your street. Count. Again, let me be clear. I do not criticize worship. But I am challenging us to think through the choices that we will make. We will not pray our way out of recession. Just like that man who was saying that you want to pray for your debt to disappear. It won't happen. The only way out of recession is to work harder, is to produce more. Because when all is said and done, the economists will give you the number. How much did you produce in oil and gas, in construction, in manufacturing, in entertainment, in agric, and so on. That is the number that defines whether the economy is growing or not growing. It's not a divine thing. It's a collective effort of all of us. So let us just understand that. And you, our undergraduates and our fresh graduates, are the freshest and the youngest and the most energetic workforce that we have to work with, to deliver on that need to boost our production. You are the new batteries to power the engine of growth of our country. Your choices, therefore, must be clear choices. Your choices must be free from fear. They must not be reckless. They must be driven by analytical thought, questioning and probing, and ultimately determined by conviction. You must be convinced. Being convinced doesn't mean you can't be wrong. I have been wrong, but I've followed my conviction. I have asked for the argument on the other side. And when I've seen a superior argument, I've surrendered to it. Now, in order to test the consequences of choices that are based on faith, which is influenced by fear, I advise you to look at the world map. There are 2 island nations who are situated in the northern hemisphere. 2 nations. I will not tell you their names. You find that out. That's my assignment to you. Find it out. But I will tell you, I'll give you clues. They're very close to each other. One believes in God, but he works hard, very hard. The other one is the home of voodoo, and they spend all their time practicing voodoo. If you follow their history, the first one is prosperous, while the second one seems to have made a permanent contract with poverty. Because all they do is voodoo, from top to bottom. This can be changed if and when they make the right choices. But while still on this matter, let me speak about traditional medicine as distinct from divination and spiritual ritual sacrifice, because there's a tendency to mix them up. Traditional medicine, from herbs, from roots, and other endowments of nature, have their place of preeminence in the assurance of our well-being by those who have the knowledge about how to use them. Indeed, those herbs and roots form the foundation of pharmacology and the science of producing drugs. But I cannot say the same thing about divination, about visions and apparitions and witchcraft. I don't know that one. So, in that sense, I argue that we must choose to, we have iron ore. You know what iron ore is? So we must choose to work our own iron ore, to produce steel, to build skyscrapers, to build machines and tools the way others have done, instead of worshiping the God of iron. You know, when we see flood coming, but we have engineers, we can use our engineering knowledge. That's it. To affect how floods behave, to control erosion. We must probe the treasures of our forests and the depth of our oceans as bastions of possibilities that we must manage and dominate instead of worshiping the God of the sea. Can you imagine if the Vasco da Gamas and the Christopher Columbus chose to worship the God of the sea? Those were the first voyagers. Can you imagine if Samuel Ogbemudia chose to convert this place there into a ritual forest? To come and be paying libation. He put concrete to mortar and found the best brains to come and begin to teach children. So, you know, all of the extensive gifts of nature, especially wildlife, lions, giraffes, and they are in Africa. You know who tells us about them? People who have no fear. They are the ones who live in the forest and tell us what is under our water. Because they have overcome fear. That doesn't mean that they are more courageous than us, but their mind is not overtaken by fear anymore. We must overcome that fear. They don't pray about what they go inside. And they bring out information about how crocodiles behave, how the whale gives birth, how the turtle communicates. That is the free will that God has given us. That is the talent that He has given us. And we have just surrendered all of that. Then we start throwing sacrifice inside the river. We are just feeding fish. The fish are going to get fatter. So, for me, if we continue to fear the sea, the oceans and the waters, we will perpetuate the practice of sacrifice instead of undertaking the enterprise of understanding and dominating them for energy and for transport. We must approach our rock formations. When you drive across Nigeria, you see massive rock formations. They are treasure troves of building materials, marble, granite, tiles. We should stop treating them as totems of salvation that require us. We go under there, you see all sorts of human sacrifice there. Ritual, go and kill one ram under the hill. You know, we should stop deifying the moon and the stratosphere which our visible eyes cannot see simply because we are afraid. We should develop the courage and the resolve to send men and women to land a spacecraft there. It's not beyond us if we overcome our fear. While I fully understand that some of us have grown up in this environment of fear, let me assure you that freedom from fear is not the same thing as having courage. They are different things. Fear is an emotion. Freedom from it is the ability to to overcome it by just refusing to surrender your mind to it. Oftentimes, people who say they see vision about you just have some information about you and guess. Then you start getting afraid. Then they tell you, don't go out in the morning. Come back home at 6 o'clock. Somebody is giving them information about you. Because you see, how can I see your house when I don't live there? Think about it. Why is it that when we want to detect, right? Why is it that when we want to detect whether something wrong has happened, as we are coming here, they put some cameras somewhere, I think in their main building. Is that so that when we are not there, something can record all those who came while we are not there? Why didn't we put those visioners there to be telling us who came while we are not there? So, somebody is leaking information. Maybe your staff is telling them that, look, Oga comes home late at night and all of that, and they start making some informed guesses about how you behave or don't behave. Thank you. So, please, I could go on really. Somebody will come to you, want to give you bulletproof, something that you will chew. Or say they made it from lion head. That lion has to die first before they can take his head. And they want that thing now that's there to prevent you from dying. Who invented the gun? Is it us? What is the bulletproof that they made? They cut thick steel and wrap it with something and say where it will, because when that bullet is coming. Then somebody who didn't invent the gun wants to invent the attitude to the gun. Excuse me. It's not fair. So if you, and we have done it before, you know, we used to kill twins in this country, that they were evil. So that was a bad practice infused by fear. We've given it up. It was a Philistinic practice. So it means that we can overcome anything we want to change. We just need to be convinced that we should change it. So I argue, if you surrender to fear, people who are less educated than you, who are less intelligent than you, who are less qualified than you, will take over your minds. They will take over your homes, and they will take over your decision-making powers. Many of such people are confidence tricksters who will prosper at your own expense by preying on your fear. Therefore, let me say to you today that while your education may not be perfect, while there may be challenges, there is room to improve on it, because your education does not end here. Indeed, your education has just started. What you have learned in the controlled environment of the university classrooms will be subject to the real-life situation tests. How you improve or educate yourself depends on how you use your minds. For example, do you simply repeat and reaffirm what you hear other people say, simply because you think they are highly placed and supposedly intelligent? No, you shouldn't. I can say things that are wrong. Don't quote me verbatim. Check me out and see that I am right. Do you verify those things before you repeat it to other people? Do you ask yourself, as I said, if these supposedly intelligent people can be wrong? I've seen many intelligent people who are wrong. Do you ask yourself whether the people you are even quoting read as much as you do? Do you think in terms of these words? Remember these words. Impossible. Do you think like that? Do you hear those words? Improbable. Unlikely. Please, if you do, stop it. Those words are symbols and signposts of fear. Impossible. Don't go there. Almost everything that was once thought to be impossible, improbable, or unlikely has happened. Men and women now fly in the skies. Some said it was impossible. People died so that it can happen. If you fly on the A380 Airbus now, you will have a shower at 33,000 feet. And there's a bird in the sky. But they said it will never happen. But what is happening, what was thought impossible has not really happened. They're pushing the frontiers. But you know how it happened? It happened because engineers refused to give up. Their mind was not taken over by fear. Those engineers are engineers who work in companies like Airbus and Boeing. They just refuse to give up. But you know what? They were once young undergraduates like all of you. That's what you have together. But they refused to give up. And their mind was not taken over by fear. You know, when I studied the story of the automobile, it was thought of impossible. But you know what? They are now driverless cars. Men have landed on the moon. They have communicated back to Earth. Missions are still underway to land men on the red planet. During the Second World War, there was no penicillin, but it was just at the cusp of discovery. So people died from a lot of infections. But what was thought impossible has happened. And they are pushing the frontiers of antibiotics. They are trying to find cures for Alzheimer's, for cancer, because their mind is not trapped by fear. So how far we go will be the work of science, will be the work of research, will be the work of engineering, driven by freedom from fear, not by prayer, not by sacrifice of fetish to some inanimate deity. How do you free your mind, you might ask? How do you overcome impossibility, improbability, unlikelihood? The answer is simple. Remember always that those words are negatives. Always remember they are negatives. Replace them with positive thoughts and replace them with positive actions. This is what frees your mind from fear and helps you to choose, to see solutions and to look for opportunities instead of dwelling on and surrendering to problems. Indeed, as they say, that if you see every problem as a nail, the only answer you have is a hammer. So if you think beyond the established realm, just sit down, think, re-examine it again. There is a solution to the problem. So look for the positive angle of a difficult situation, because there will be one if you look hard enough. Let me share with you what my father shared with me. Anytime we had difficulty solving any problem, he used to ask a couple of questions. He said, look, listen, that radio or that math or that problem that you are battling with, can it talk? I'll say, no, Daddy, he can't talk. He said, who can talk? I say, me. He said, then, simple reasoning, anything that cannot speak cannot be smarter than you. So please, look for the positive angle of a difficult situation, because there will be one. I urge you to free your mind from fear. I urge you to reach for the skies. I urge you to choose by conviction and not by fear. To trust in your abilities and your God-given talent. To take responsibility, to work hard, and to pray if you believe. Yes, Shango is the god of lightning and thunder. But all the sacrifices that we have made to Shango has not generated 1 kilowatt of electricity. Let us remember that electricity is produced by using nature's gifts, such as its gas, its solar, sun, and wind, harnessing their capacity, producing turbines using steel to serve our energy needs. electricity will not be produced by making animal sacrifices. You know, just recently, along a transmission corridor that we were building, our engineers were driven from the site by the invocation of some spiritual powers. And I said, you engineers, you ran away from that thing. He said, oh God, that this. Well, I said, that thing can't produce electricity. You can. I said, go and talk to them. That thing knows money. They gave money and they moved out, and then we did our work. So, I will conclude by urging you to look for a book titled Startup Nation. It's a book called Startup Nation. It's written by two men, Dan Senor, D-A-N-S-E-N-O-R, and Saul Singer, S-A-U-L-S-I-N-G-R. It will provoke your thinking as it did my own thinking. It's the story of Israel. How a nation that was not given any chance at all of survival survived in the worst possible place. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm done. I want to congratulate our graduates. I want to say and pray that the wind be behind their sails as they set forth in their journey of life. I hope that they will fulfill their true promise, and I hope that they will be free from fear, so that they can make good choices and contribute to our national development. Thank you very much for listening.
Please put your hands together for our guest lecturer, His Excellency, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, Honorable Minister for Power, Works and Housing, Freedom from Fear, Choices before the new generation. Put your hands together for one more time for him, please. Thank you, sir. We want to humbly invite the Chancellor, His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, CON, Seriki Kanu, to please make a closing remark. Your Highness.
The lecturer, Your Excellency, my friend and my brother, Babatunde Fashola, SAN, Honorable Minister, and I always say once a governor, always a governor, and the Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of Council, Senate, and Congregation, graduates and students. I will not say much. The last time I attended a convocation lecture here and spoke, I was told I had given a second convocation lecture. But would like to thank the Minister for these thought-provoking words. And it's extremely important for students going out to life in a world in which there are many, as the Minister said, confidence tricksters. And you find them in all faiths and also among those who have no faith. And God is being used as an excuse for our failure. Recently, I was in a debate with some scholars who said that the poverty in Nigeria and the problems we have are because of our sins. And I asked them, which sins are committed in Nigeria that are not committed in the United States? Is it the sin of drinking, or gambling, or murder, or drugs, or adultery? You find all these sins in America and the UK. Why are they not suffering the way we are suffering? We have to look for some other reason for our problem. The good thing is we have a minister of the Federal Republic who understands clearly that outcomes are tied to causes. If you want to deal with a recession, there are things you have to do. These are set out in economics. You go and do them. Put in the right monetary policy, put in the right fiscal policies, put in the right structural policies, and your economy will grow. If you keep praying to God to get you out of a recession, and you do not put in the right policy, my answer to you is not that there is no God, but that this is the evidence that God has not answered your prayer. When God answers your prayer, you will do the right things. So we'll continue to pray for our leaders, for God to guide them, and we'll continue to look at what they're doing. Because if they don't do the right thing, then God has not answered the prayer, and we have to continue telling them to please do the right thing so we know God has answered. And I do hope that we will continue to take that lesson which the minister gave, which is a lesson that he does not say there is no God, he does not say there's anything wrong with faith, he just says we should not attribute to God that which God has left to us and to our power and our control. So I do hope the lecturer will agree that I have tried to capture the essence of his message, because we haven't had time for Q&A. Mr. Fashola is someone that we are all proud of as Nigerians, not just the University of Benin. You know, they say success has many fathers, but failure belongs only to his parents. So I'm sure the University of Benin would like to claim, we would like to claim His Excellency as our own, and Lagos State would like to claim him as its own. But the reality is Nigeria and Africa will all be proud to show Mr. Fashola as an example of the kind of leader that the world says Africa does not produce. Someone with the vision, someone with the intelligence, someone with the love of his people, and someone who actually understands that it's about what you leave on ground. He was governor of Lagos. If you ask him how many kilometers of road he built, he will tell you. How many megawatts of electricity he added, he will tell you. How many hospitals, how many schools. And at the end of the day, that's what leadership is about. And I do hope, as Minister of Power, Works and Housing, by 2019, Mr. Fashola will tell us how many houses he has built for us, how many kilometers of road he has built, how many megawatts of electricity he has added to the national grid. And this is what leadership is. I've known him for many years, and I can give you one example. When I was working in First Bank, and Governor Fashola, as he then was, organized the police and raised a security trust where the private sector contributed money for security. He did something I have never seen done in Nigeria. 12 months after we contributed money, he invited us to a dinner. We didn't know what it was about. He brought the AIG of police, he brought the police commissioner, he stood up before us and did a presentation like this, showed us exactly what was done with our money, showed us exactly how security in Lagos had improved with statistics. After that dinner, we all put our hands in our pockets and brought out more money. Because this, you see, we don't mind giving money to the government, we just want accountability. And I think with people like Mr. Fashola in government, and this university is proud because this was part of the process that made him who he was. And I hope all you new graduates who are watching now are saying to yourselves, while you pray to God for a miracle, which is good, and let the miracle be in you, that God will give you the grace to try and do what he did and become like him. Not just sit down and pray in the middle of the field. You know, you pray, but get up, read, work hard, do the right thing, and end up like Mr. Fashola. Please don't just sit down and pray for the miracle working God. He works miracles, but if you're not doing the right thing, then you're not the beneficiary of that miracle. Thank you very much, Excellency, and thank you for inspiring our young ones, and thank you for your service to your country, and we hope that you will be with us at the convocation tomorrow, and we wish you a safe trip back to Abuja. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations once more, and see you tomorrow at the convocation.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I wish to respectfully invite the Chairman of Council, Pro-Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor, and the Registrar to please present a gift on behalf of the University to our guest lecturer.
Just for the avoidance of doubt, the university gave the minister a work of art, not an item of superstition for worship.
Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and Madam Registrar. Let's put our hands together for them, please. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and I have the pleasure to invite the chairman of the University Ceremonial Committee, Professor Anthony Clement Iguanugo, to please move the vote of thanks.
I wish to stand on existing protocols. You have had it all. The minister spoke well, he philosophized, and he has been able to reshape our views, our thinking about the issue of religion. The lawyers say res ipsa loquitur. The matter speaks for itself. So you had him. Now, concerning the misconception about prayer, I think Professor Ayodele Awojobi shared a similar view that time. So what he has told us is correct. I'm sure the Honorable Minister, sir, your view have been corroborated by history, and we thank you for the lecture which you have given, and I will creatively label it a somptuology of triumph over fear. So thank you very much. I also wish to thank the Chancellor, His Highness Muhammad Sanusi Saraki Kanu, for his paternalistic benevolence and for sharing with us the transport of joy of this convocation. I also wish to thank the Pro-Chancellor and the Chairman of Governing Council, Senator Effiong Dixon-Ball, for his public-spirited leadership which he wields. Again, we are very much obliged to the Vice-Chancellor, Professor FFO Runwese, for his dynamic and goal-directed leadership. We acknowledge the supportive roles of the two Deputy Vice-Chancellors, Professor Lawrence Ikechukwu-Ezemoye and Professor Abiodu Falodo. The Registrar, Mrs. O.A. Oshodi, the Bursar, Dr. Baba Bila, the Librarian, Dr. Mrs. Evelyn Idodi. We thank you for being here. Our special thanks go to the Provost, the Deans and Directors. Your presence has helped to grace this occasion. We thank the heads of departments here present and participating in this convocation lecture. Our distinguished guests, we are indeed very grateful for you to be here. We thank you all for coming. Gentlemen of the press, you have been quite cooperative since Tuesday when we held the press briefing. We are indeed very grateful. We have been very, very cooperative. Many of you came and gave this convocation ceremony wide publicity. And for the parents and guardians, your presence have been encouraging, reassuring, inspiring. We thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for your support and patience. And last but not the least, Greatest Uniben students. Greatest Uniben students. I respectfully request you to offer 3.5 Boza. 3.5. Go on. And also to the minister, 3.5 Boza. Yes, again, Julius Caesar said that what concerns us most shall be treated last. And so I wish to seize this opportunity to thank the members of the ceremonials committee, among whom, look at them, they have been very, very supportive. And as you can see, the whole thing started well and is ending very well. So please, there's no time to mention their various names. So all is well that ends well. And everything that has a beginning has an end. And so farewell, farewell, farewell. Thank you.
Please put your hands together one more time for the chairman of the ceremonial committee, Professor of Production Engineering, Professor Anthony Clement Iguanugu. He has done very well. Thank you so much, sir. Very quickly, before we take the anthems and 1 or 2 notices, we have the Faculty of Law students, they have a presentation to our guest lecturer. Very quickly, let's do so now. Thank you.
Of Law.
Greatest Uniben students! Greatest Uniben students! 3 Boza for our fathers. 3 Eya for their enemies. On behalf of the Faculty of Law, the Law Students Association, we want to present this award of recognition to the Honorable Minister of Works, Power and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, in appreciation of your effort towards the development of the law students in the Faculty of Law, University of Benin, presented by the Law Students Association, University of Benin, 2016 session.
We want to particularly appreciate you for what you did for the Faculty of Law. In the past, we can vividly recall that you turned around and fully furnished one of the lecture theaters in the Faculty of Law. This is aside from the e-library facilities you made provisions for in your time as the executive governor of Lagos State. We appreciate you immensely for this, and we hope that more will come.
Thank you very much, Faculty of Law, Mr. Dean, and the students of the Faculty of Law. Very quickly, just to reiterate one more time, the presence of His Royal Highness Adinoje of South Ibe, Chief Kelvin Danisi. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Also, just want to once again to recognize the presence of the wife of the Vice Chancellor of our great university, Mrs. Orumesi. By 4 p.m., we'll have a variety show here, inviting everybody, seasoned comedians, artists will all be here to entertain us. Please, we need the hall, we need all the students. Just take the rest of the day off. But don't tell the Vice Chancellor I said so. Take the rest of the day, just come here and relax. And then we have comedians from University of Benin, alumni comedians. They have graduated, they are out there, and they will be back here. You know them. Very powerful comedians will be here to entertain us. Please, 4 p.m., let all of us be here. Thank you so much for being part of this 42nd Convocation lecture. And at this point, I want to enjoin all of us to please rise. But do know that you remain while the Chancellor's entourage will sit, and all of others will follow. We take the Union anthem, the national anthem. Of the greatest universe. Please remain your seat. Please remain seated, please. I'm sorry, just remain standing. Thank you. There will be group photographs outside. The fanfare, please. Thank you. Please, the Royal Chinas, they are here. They are selling Chinese food. They are just outside there. If you have never eaten Chinese food, just go to Royal China, just outside. Just go there, you know whether it's free or not. Thank you.